All right, so update 55 release notes for the Isle of Dread on Wednesday. Let's see. Of special note, the Isle of Dread has arrived. A mysterious island appeared off the coast of Stormreach, and Foxhaw has been kidnapped by pirates to be dragged away to the island. To make matters worse, the cult of Vecna has been sighted in the region. It can't be a coincidence. Prehistoric dangers await any other step on the island's shores. So you have Isle of Dread releasing. Obviously, the whole expansion is there. We've talked about the expansion a lot in a lot of detail. So, check it out. There's also all these notes that they put together. So, treasure, power, pirates, and dinosaur bones, the next level cap, this story from page to game, and the frequently asked questions. All those things will give you pretty much all the details. So, what are the items going to look like? What does level cap increase mean? What's the story, and how they translated it from the pen and paper version to the tabletop, to the video game. Pen and paper to tabletop. Duh. Important note. So, the Isle of Dread, and this is something that matters, if you buy one of the bundles for Isle of Dread, a lot of people get confused about this one. You don't get the items in your inventory like previous. You talk to Zalnath, the Dread item bundle vendor, and he's in the harbor. So you can find him in the docks, and he's the one that happens to have all these items. So if you are looking for that, if you don't know where you're going to find that, that's where you go. You're not going to be in your inventory. So let's talk about news. Well, apparently it's bug fixes first. Bug fixes. A variety of typos in various places of content and the user interface have been fixed, sure. Fixed an incorrect DC description for Devour the Soul. That's good. This was a problem for Warlock. It was just the DC was displaying wrong. SLAs and Divine Disciple may now heal undead players. Oh, cool. Yes, they did not do this. So that is extremely exciting. The heightened metamagic feat will no longer lower your spell DCs. I assume that's when you have something where you have like a spell-like ability that's a higher level spell than what you can cast, and you put Heighten on it, and it lowers your spell DCs. Greater Color Spray SLA is now considered to be level 5. Interesting. So Greater Color Spray now being level 5 means that you're going to be gaining extra DCs in the early game with Greater Color Spray. It's not too bad. Quench from Bottled Rainstorm now has a 1-second cooldown. That's just this is probably just a lag fix. Remove visual effects from titles on hit imbue to prevent client lag. Title is an extremely rare weapon effect, so I wouldn't worry about this. Several armors have had their maximum dexterity bonus corrected to appropriate values. This isn't specific. The only one there's several armors I can think of that are all over the place. Tourney armor is an example of an item that has like terrible maximum dexterity bonus. There's a couple medium armors in like Ravenloft and stuff that have way too high. And there's a medium armor that has way too low, which is also fun. The Banquet Hall amenity no longer removes itself while zoning. This is convenient because basically it means that you can click the ship and then you can run around all over the city and you're not going to worry about losing the Banquet Hall amenity, the thing that heals you, your health and spell points. Otto's Stones of Experience no longer tell you they add Epic Destiny XP. That's good. Stat damage in dungeon is now restored more reliably. I don't know exactly what that means, but sure. Recipe text for augments in the Remnant Vendor are now correct. Basically, if you go to the Remnant Vendor in the Hall of Heroes, they had the old values, so now they have the new updated values on the text. The actual items were fine, but it would tell you the wrong thing, so now that has been fixed. On-hit fire damage from champions now respects its internal cooldown. They made a change to champions, so that way all of the on-hit damage had cooldowns, so they couldn't just hit you with Magic Missile and instantly kill you. Solo Cruelty still can, because they have multiple on-hit effects, and so can Marks of Chaos sometimes, so you gotta be careful. But a lot of champions became less dangerous as a result of that. Produce Flame may now be cast directionally. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I think it's because Produce Flame would only come out like mostly just straightforward, so it's probably got a wider range. Fixed maxi character creation bug where bows would sometimes held backwards. This was just funny. It was just a funny visual, that's all. Fixed typos and Vampire Ascendant Shroud. Alright. Favored Soul, Grace of Battle, Knowledge of Battle, effect on items now slightly better effect nomenclature. Sure. The Horseshoe Crab Shield now has a description. I didn't realize it didn't. Golden Orb of Death description is punctuated. Some collectibles are now categorized better, whatever that means. Resist Energy Sonic now gets bonus catch levels from Air Savants, or Sorcerer's Air Savant correctly. Sorcerer's Air Savant affects all air spells, sonic spells, and lightning spells, and it was not affecting Resist Energy Sonic. I wonder if this also would apply to protection from energy, but probably not. Fixed a string table error with NPC Hada de Jurasco, sure. Shadow Dancer's Shadow Strike melee now has a snappier animation. Basically, the Shadow Dancer's Shadow Strike as a melee character is a really clunky, slow animation, and it's one of the few reasons why you wouldn't actually want to use that ability, even though it's insanely strong and it does like 1,000,000 damage. That's like the only reason why you wouldn't want to do that. However, it now attacks way faster as of the patch, so that should be good. Some old Epic Destiny ability scripting has been removed from Exalted Angel. That seems fine. Rune Arms with Reaper bonuses now work 100% of the time. I don't have one of these, but I'm glad to hear it works. Magus' Destiny Mantle no longer drops on zone transitions, which is very annoying when you're playing a Magus. This will be not very convenient. Flame Strike now does its proper damage, respects line of sight requirements, and no longer gets supercharged when cast by a monster. So there's the Flame Strike fix. If you've been waiting to play Caster Druid, wait no more. Tomorrow is good. The 10% bonus damage to ability score modifier granted by wielding a Bastard Sword or Dwarven War Axe now applies properly regardless of exactly how you are using those weapons. Cool. And fixed an issue where the ability score modifier to damage would not apply correctly in some circumstances. My understanding is that it was the way it was supposed to work, is that single weapon fighting gives you 2 times damage if you have all the feats to your ability score modifier, whereas two-handed fighting with the Dwarven Axe and Bastard Sword give you 1.6. And you were supposed to be basically... if you had both of them, it would take the higher, but it wasn't doing that. If you had both of them, it would give you like 2.7 ability modifier damage if you had all the feats, which is why you might have seen like a lot of single weapon fighter fighters and stuff running around, because it was actually stacking all of the buffs together. That has been patched, so if you're doing that, that no longer works. It's a bug, so that's good, but yeah. Trailblazers, Attune no longer drops on death. That is a problem that my current character has in endgame. Very huge problem. I hate it. It's super annoying. Because Attune is really strong, and losing it whenever you die, and then you have to relog the whole game is annoying. Belt of the Rams ability Ram's Might no longer drops on death. That's good. Eldritch Knight Subtle Force now actually gives sonic resistance. Divine Crusaders Consecrate now properly damages non-evil creatures. For those of you that don't know, Consecrate does fire and light damage to nearby monsters that are standing inside of it. However, it was only working against evil creatures. Now it works against all creatures, which is a dramatic increase in the amount of damage that this does. And it also means that any characters, like if you're playing as a light and fire using Warlock with Consecrate, a light and fire using War Priest, War Soul, anything else, Consecrate's even better. And the shift key to Fast Fallen Monk now works. Very good. So let's see what else we got. Gameplay changes. Evil Spirit resetting so many bear traps that have been triggered has been exercised from DDO. Most bear traps now will only trigger once. So what this means is if you step on a bear trap, they will close, and then they will not open again, so you can't step on that bear trap again. However, this doesn't mean you can't disable them. You still can disable them if you want the XP. So it means if somebody runs through and bulldozes their way through all the bear traps, you can just walk behind them, and you're good. Most, not all. My assumption with most, but not all, is the fact that... there will probably be a few bear traps that will not behave like this that will need to get found later via bug reporting. You may now trade 100 pack ingredients for a star fragment and 100 star fragments and 500 threads of fate for a nebula fragment. Nebula fragments are back on the table. If you don't know how to get star fragments, basically just go run a lot of Saltmarsh and grab your star fragments from your Saga reward, and you'll be able to get as many nebula fragments as you want. Nebula fragments give you perfected artifacts, which are the best artifacts in the entire video game. They're better than anything else, and they're extremely good for very specific builds. So, yeah. Enchantment DCs are now an option in Magus of the Eclipse. I don't know how this wasn't in there in the first place, but yeah. Although, to be fair, enchantment is in almost every tree. I think the only tree enchantment's not in is Draconic Incarnation. Teleport items found within expansions have been upgraded. So basically what this means is, now if you have any of these teleport items from the expansions, when you click it, it's going to bring up a window that will give you all the teleports. So you don't have to carry all your expansion items in, you only have to carry the one. So let's just say you have all 5 of these, and you can just get rid of all of them except the Bottle of Mist, and if you click Bottle of Mist, it lets you teleport to any of these places. It's very convenient, and I'm glad they are doing this, so now you don't have to worry about keeping up with all of these pieces and items. It'll just do a check for what you actually own, so that's cool. Yeah, the D12 that you get from the anniversary event and the key to the Evening Star are different items, so they do not fill in this bonus, but it saves a few inventory slots if you want. The Mysterious Ring in the Sands of Manectara Adventure Pack is now a little cooler. My understanding with the ring, the Mysterious Ring, is that it is much like the Gem of Many Facets. It is a ring that has sands sets on it when you find it. And then you... what is it? You can Caneth Craft onto it. So it has just some of the sand sets, and then you can Caneth Craft it. So it's very cool ring. Many effects of the game that used to scale with epic levels now scale with your total epic and legendary levels, because we're getting legendary levels. Bonuses to ability score modifier damage described the same way for both single weapon fighting and two-handed fighting feats, which is good. If you have bonuses to ability score modifiers from damage single weapon fighting and two-handed fighting, only the highest, so this is the bug fix I was talking about before. One of the best things. Hold on. Hamstring effects are now considered bleed effects and can be removed with effects that remove bleeds, such as close wounds and regeneration. Hallelujah! Oh my god, praise the Lord of Blades. Do you know how long I've wanted this change? When you get hit by a hamstring for 45 seconds, you can't even play the game anymore? What a good change. Thank you. It's still close wounds and regeneration, so you need to make sure you have these spells. But so like heal doesn't work, cures don't work. You need specific things that remove bleeding, and they'll tell you if they do. The dreaded exploding spiders of Sharn have had their hit points reduced by 25% of their original value. They also give a little more time before they explode. Blast them before they blast you. Very cool. Epic Destinies. In addition to earning more points for Epic Destinies, we're going to be getting 4th cores. That'll be available at level 32, just like how the 4th core of your heroic trees are available at 12. It's like Epic 12, basically. So, let's talk about what they do. Important note, the effects that are listed here are not the only effects, as it says. Note that all of these cores grant their melee range, spell power, DCs, and the other stuff that their trees designate. So, for example, the Shadow Dancer tree, or the Shadow Dancer core, not only does it grant what it says here, but also the sneak attack dice, the melee power, the range power, the spell points, the force spell power, etc., right? It grants all these things. So, what do you get for each one? Draconic. So, Draconic Heritage 2, minus 5% spell cost on all materials. Your eschew materials is improved, so you don't need special components for your spells. A lot of people think this one's not that great, but minus 5% spell cost is insanely good, and every time you get more minus spell cost, remember that gets closer and closer to 0, where you have no spell costs. So, very, very powerful effect. Fatesinger, hear my voice. Greatest shout, greater shout, and shout. I don't know how this typo has made it through everything. I've reported it every time. Anyway, greater shout, and echoes of Discord spells now target allies inside their cones and heal them for 20% of the damage potential of the spell. So, I want to explain what this does, so we're all super clear. Because a lot of people try to test this out, and we're not really understanding how it works. So what this does is when you cast the spell, any of these spells, let's just use Shout. When you cast Shout, okay, let's say your Shout does 100 damage when you cast it, this is before spell powers, so don't apply any spell power. Your Shout, it's going to do like 100 damage, because that's what the base roll is. Then it takes 20% of that, so that would be 20, and then it applies your healing spell power, and then it deals that, okay? It heals that much to anyone that's in the cone. So if I cast Shout, and it does 100 damage, and I have 1,000, or let's say 10 times damage with my Sonic spell power, I have 900 Sonic spell power, then my Shout damage becomes 1,000. But I'm not getting 20% of that damage, it's the damage potential. It's whatever the original roll was. So ignore Sonic spell power. For the healing, you don't need Sonic spell power at all. It only factors in your devotion spell power. Additionally, this isn't dealing, the healing isn't based on the damage you deal, it's based on the damage potential. So if you're in Reaper mode, where damage is reduced by 83%, the healing is not reduced by 83% because it's not reducing the damage, because the damage is reduced, but not the damage potential. So, is this ability good, you might ask? And I was testing it out on the preview server, and I found that on my Bard, in Reaper 10, I was doing about 1,500 to 4,000 per shout. In AoE healing, because it says no cooldown. I don't know how this made it into the game as its current number. It is very good. Important note, I was also playing as a bard. Imagine if you're playing as a sorcerer with half of the cooldowns and twice as much mana. It's going to be pretty good. So be excited for this one. This one's a little crazy. Magus of the Eclipse, Nightwind. Gain 7 spell pen, and enemies inside your cold or light zone have a 5% chance to be frozen when they take damage. This effect is pretty good. It's not amazing, but it will be just helpful, and it makes the light zone even better. It's like the extra thing that stacks on top of it. Divine Crusader Sunder Evil. Using Sunder effect or Improved Sunder deals 1d6 light damage per character level and applies the Divine Sundering effect. The slight damage scales 200% of your higher melee range power. The Divine Sundering effect is here. Important note, this literally only applies during Sunder and Improved Sunder. It does not use any of the Sunder adjacent effects. So no, it does not work there. Oh, that's really close, that lightning now. Oh man. I don't know if that came through the mic, but holy moly, that was loud. Do you hear yourself with the shouts? You do not. Divine Sundering is very, very good, by the way. This is an extremely powerful effect. The downside is you have to use Sunder and Improve Sunder. It's still probably worth it to use just to throw in for the stats, especially on a raid boss. You want someone doing it. But, yeah, it's pretty good. Exalted Angel, Heavenly Wrath and Heavenly Blessing, which is basically you either get to choose when you use Angelic Charge or Leap of Faith, so your dash. You either deal damage to enemies as you go next to them, or you heal people where you land. Both are very, very powerful. Obviously, if you're a healer, you're going to pick the healing. If you're a damager, you're going to pick the damage. Both are good. Both are very, very powerful. Honestly, just straight up actually strong. The damage on Heavenly Wrath, important note, it can't critically strike, and neither can the healing. So neither of these will critically strike. And they also, because it's not a spell, it's a added on spell effect. And additionally, they also don't do as much damage as you think it would do. So it's not bad. It's pretty good. It's just not like, it's not going to be overpowered in any capacity. And the Heavenly Blessing will heal you when you finish, which is nice if you're playing as like a favorite soul who maybe you struggle with healing, or in an escape, it does heal you when you land. So keep that in mind. Unyielding Sentinel, Last Hope. When you drop below 20% health, you gain a bunch of melee power, physical and magical resistance rating, and you also gain the effect of the heal spell every 2 seconds for 8 seconds. This effect is super strong, and it makes you mega tanky when you go under 20% and heals you a whole bunch. The downside is that it only procs when you're low, but the upside is that's when you probably need it the most. So it's a good passive. It's not going to save your life in R10, but it will help you and help prevent you from dying in R10, and it will easily save your life in lower tier stuff like R5 and lower. This is gonna proc, and you're gonna pop back up to full, which is very helpful. Grandmaster of Flowers, Master of Philosophy, where you get dodge bypass. So it's basically 3 different abilities. They all give dodge bypass and magic resistance rating cap, and then they can either make it so your stunning blow and stunning fist attacks are light attacks, dark attacks, or void attacks. This is very specifically a monk thing, and it is only good for monks. So your mileage may vary. The benefit of this is it means that because you can make things dark attacks, generally as a fist monk, you want to be a light-based monk and not a dark one, because light-based is required for the extra damage out of the Shintao tree. However, with the dark builders here on Stunning Fist and Stunning Blow, it means you can use Stunning Fist to get Dark Earth Dark, as an example, to cause the Nauseate effect, which will allow you to effectively remove Reapers from fights, which is very, very powerful. Dark Earth Dark is quite good. And similarly, getting the Void builders will allow you to use the Void attacks when you're not a Henshin Mystic. So, a lot of interesting stuff here. Legendary Dreadnought, Unparalleled Accuracy. When you activate an action boost, you gain 5% dodge bypass for 20 seconds. Well, this one's new. This was not on the previous server. Previously, this was a damage reduction effect. I think a lot of people complained about what was going on with the damage reduction effect. And so now it's dodge bypass for 20 seconds. Honestly, this is just really good still. I don't have a lot to say. There was supposed to be a bunch of dodge in the monsters in Isle of Dread. They walked that back. So you don't really need the dodge bypass, but it's cool. It's like, this is great. Like, if you're playing against the few things that dodge in the game, these are the monsters in the Isle, or the Dryad and the Demigod raid, or the
it was between
the Dryad and the Demigod, or the Hunter Be Hunted.
Brian, why do you need a bed when you're in the computer? That's a story for another time.
That is a story for another time. Thank you for letting me know. I'm glad to hear you found your wallet, though. That's terrifying when you don't have it. Shadow Dancer, Cut to the Soul. You gain dodge bypass, fort bypass, damage versus the helpless. And when you cast the spell Trap the Soul, it automatically applies 3 stacks of the Darkness debuff, even if the enemy survives the spell. And the Darkness debuff is minus basically 9 PRR and MRR, because you get 3 stacks. This is amazingly cool, because it means that if you're playing as a Shadow Dancer instant killer, say you're using Weird is very popular for instant killers right now, which is tier 5 of the Shadow Dancer tree, and with the new buffs that have happened to Trap the Soul, where you can use Trap the Soul in whatever you want, and it's a will save based instant kill, so there's no fortitude save at all. You take this, and now you're debuffing raid bosses. Very, very good. Would recommend. This is going to be an awesome ability. I'm looking forward to it. Fury of the Wild. Be the Whirlwind. Using any of the feats Trip, Improved Trip, or Whirlwind attack causes a whirlwind of force to burst from you, striking nearby enemies. This effect is very, very strong. If you use any of those abilities, you get an AoE, and Improved Trip causes the whirlwind to also be a trip, which means even beyond your strike through, your tripping stuff. Again, very, very, very good. Just straight up an improvement to Fury of the Wild. Pretty much everyone in Fury is going to take this, and also use Improved Trip for the knockdowns, because it's crazy. Primal Avatar Regrowth. When your spell points drop below 5%, you gain a whole bunch of spell points. Just a good effect. Primal Avatar already has a near infinite amount of spell points, and so adding to it is kind of cool. You'll want to take this every time, because it's really strong. And lastly, Shirati Champion Fey Countenance, where you get +2 saving throws versus spells, and when you activate Pin or Beguiling Charm, it fascinates nearby enemies with no save. It's important to note that the The Fascinate is just, it's a temporary stun, sort of, right? It holds them in place and they can't do anything. But the monsters need to be very close. When it says near, it's very, very near. So you won't see this happening too often, but it'll be nice when it just automatically takes a Reaper off of your back. So keep that in mind. Are you getting Destiny points? Yeah, because we get 2 more levels, so you get 8 more points. Now, since we're getting 2 more levels, we also get a new Destiny feat at level 31. So these feats are broken into a few categories. They have the weapon specialty feats. The way that they work is basically if you have all of the feats of one weapon type, so single weapon fighting, 2 weapon fighting, 2-handed fighting, shield fighting, or natural fighting, you can then take another set of feats. So if you have all of those feats, then you can take single weapon fighting, and now you can also have single weapon, you have all the single weapon fighting feats. If you want 2 weapon fighting, you can have all the 2 weapon fighting feats just for 1. The benefit of this is that it basically grants you a second combat style. So to give you some ways as how this might work. Imagine you are playing as a fighter, you have 2-handed weaponry, you're hitting people with 2-handed weapons. 2-handed weapons are good, but they don't do as much single target damage as 2-weapon fighting when you're just dual wielding swords. So what you do is you get to level cap using the 2-handed weapon thing, just smashing your way through, and then you take 2-weapon specialty. So then once you're at the level cap, you're fighting your way through the quest, cleaving your way through things, and then once you get to the boss, you swap to your dual wielding and you start chunking monsters down with better single target damage. There's some cool stuff. Additionally, single weapon fighting can combine with 2-handed fighting for Bastard Sword users and Dwarven War Axe users. And also, the shield mastery is nice as well. I don't know why this is in the not put in the same line as the other ones. Because this means if you're using shield mastery, you can also take this with 2-handed fighting if you're playing a Vanguard. There's a lot of good combinations. But again, these aren't direct upgrades in power. They're mostly like alternative options for your character to build. On top of that, you also get the spell specialty feats, which is if you have all of the spell focus feats for one spell school, you can get a second one. This is going to save a lot of people some points, because I know in heroics, depending on your build, especially sometimes wizards and sorcerers, they will take like enchantment focus, greater enchantment focus, and then necro focus, greater necro focus. Now you can just take enchantment, greater enchantment, and epic enchantment, and then at 31 you can take spell specialty necro and get +3 to your necro. So you get 6 feats worth of DCs in 4 feats instead of 6, which is nice. Then you have elemental form specialty, which gives you bonus to cast levels that are not in your elemental form for both sorcerers and druids. It's going to be very cool. I don't know how useful this is going to be on sorcerer, but on druid, it's going to be awesome for giving you extra cast levels and other stuff. Wild force, which while in druid wild shape, is going to, for wolf and bear, give you bonuses. So if you're in wolf form, you get the extra armor class from bear, and if you're in bear form, you get the armor extra movement speed from wolf. For bear, this is extremely good. For wolf, I have no idea. Legendary toughness, which gives you 100 maximum hit points, so very, very, very good. You want to take legendary toughness if you just have nothing else to take. It's 100 health, and you can take this multiple times past 31. Legendary aim, while using a ranged weapon, you get +10 to attack and 5 dodge bypass. 10 to attack is actually a big deal, because oddly enough, a lot of ranged characters don't have the highest amount of attack. So, like Inquisitives, especially first life characters, Inquisitives, Artificers are another example, just classes that don't really get any attack bonuses in most of their trees. This is super, super good. And then Enhanced Elemental Dice, which gives you elemental damage die for your Arcane Archer, Vile Chemist, Eldritch Knight, and Inquisitive. This is basically only good on an Eldritch Knight. The other ones, you're better off taking Legendary Aim for all of them. So, new feats, they're also pretty good. Bear in mind that at level 31, these new feats are going to be in the same slot as the old feats. So say you wanted to take Deific Warding and also Arcane Warrior. Well, you can do that now, because you could take Deific Warding at 31 now, if you wanted. So you can have both of the level 28 feats. You can get one here. So you don't have to take one of these new ones. They're just cool options. Items, new augments requiring level 32 and 32 scaling debut. So all of our augments are now going up by an extra 4 levels in power. So you're going to be playing high level stuff to try to get new augments. Caneth crafting also goes up to 32 now, so you can Caneth craft stuff. And all items minimum level 29 and below that are named legendary have been renamed to epic. And legendary is now termed for level 30 or higher. So all your Sharn gear is now epic Sharn gear. Ravenloft is epic Ravenloft gear, etc., etc., etc. All these quests are now, or all these items are now epic items. So good luck, people that edit the wiki, because this is going to take a decade to change. But I have to imagine that it's probably going to take just as long as the the effects that had to be done. Although I guess it's for saying some games, they probably have a spreadsheet with all this data, and they just did the find and replace. So yeah. Does enhanced add damage die if you have multiple sources of damage dice? I don't know what you mean by that, so I'm going to say yes, because it does add damage dice. Quest. Creeping Death. Some traps have been updated to affect monsters, which is exciting, because Creeping Death has a problem where the kobolds will just stand in their own traps and be immune to your attacks, and if you're somebody who's a melee, it's just a nightmare. And the Dragonborn Prophecy quest have had a number of monsters reduced throughout both dungeons, and including removal of several sets of monsters. Yay! I hate these quests. We'll test them out when the update goes live tomorrow. Items within the shared crafting storage now update their names and descriptions automatically should they be changed in a game update, which is exciting. A lot of times the items don't update. So, for example, you might have old items that when you pull them out of the shared crafting storage, they change in name, like expired and depreciated items. So that is good. Yes, so the answer to that question is yes, it will add to both. Item bind status is now displayed on one line in item tooltips, which is nice. Instead of, it used to be in like 3 different places on the items, now it's not. Multiple improvements have been made to the way that items display. Basically, base damage rating is now going to factor in more stats. So it's going to be just giving you a more relative showing of how much damage your weapon is doing. Important note, it's still not everything. It doesn't factor in deadly stats and other stuff on your character, but it's at least getting closer. Augments now display prettier. So their slot type now appear in examination, which is nice, color coding. There's now a separate icon for each tome of learning you've consumed. So on the character sheet, you can see, I'll just go into game here. You can see your tomes of learning here, but it only shows the one that you've got. So I'm in heroic, so I have a heroic tome. And then once I get to epics, it replaces it. Now all of them are just going to display in an order, although we only have 2, but still. Hovering over your character's build type on the character sheet will now display the character's total past life earned. That is this here, build type. So it says legend. If you hover over this after the patch, it'll show you all your past lives. It'll tell you how many you have. So in future, when somebody asks me and they say, hey dude, what's your, how many past lives do you have on your character? I can just point to this and say, that's how many I have. So it makes it easier. The party UI no longer makes players with temporary hit points appear to be at a higher percentage of health than they really are. Now, this is extremely great because one of the main problems with temporary hit points is that, let's say you're playing a warlock or a barbarian. If you use blood tribute on a barbarian when you're about to die, it looks like your health is full, even though your health is so not full. So now it'll actually display your health and not your temporary health, which is better so people can actually heal you and know what's going on. Searching in any bar no longer sorts your shared bank. Yeah, all the search bars in DDO were connected. They are now not connected anymore, which is nice. That's why if you've ever noticed sometimes when you like go into the plus tab, there'll be nothing in here. And that's because if you go into like a different search bar and you type in like something here, right? And I have a search, and then I go into my plus tab. I have nothing here because it just typed that into this search bar too. And you click the X to get it back. So that'll be disconnected now, which is good. Newly created glamour shields will now cleanly equip to your cosmetic offhand without reporting that there's an inventory error when trying to double click them. I don't think this is going to be updated for old shields, but I'm not sure. Glamored items will no longer improperly show their weapon dice or their augment slots, which is just a bunch of glamored item stuff changes. And the quest selector UI now has a search bar and search level. This is fantastic because if you go into the LFM tool, if I want to find a quest, so let's just say I'm trying to find the quest. Let's do a good one. Acid Wit, level 15. I have to scroll down to level 15. There's like a million quests here. I can't even make the tab bigger. And now I got to find Acid Wit. Acid Wit. Acid Wit. There it is. And then I click it. Whereas instead now, this all quest thing is getting replaced because it doesn't even do anything. So instead, that's going to get replaced with search bar so you can just search your quests. Great change. Super stoked. I can't wait to see it. And then note issue, some Isle of Dread ingredients are currently bound to account erroneously when they should be unbound. There is a near 100% chance that this is going to be the black pearls, which are the rare ingredient. All the items in Isle of Dread are all the ingredients are supposed to be unbound. I guarantee you that this is the new black pearl ingredient. Hopefully they'll be able to patch this quick, so that is not going to stay like that for too long. But I also don't know. That's just my guess. Anyway, these are your Update 55 patch notes. So I'm stoked. I'm excited to see what's going on tomorrow. Woo! Isle of Dread! Isle of Dread! Isle of Dread!